Hey Warriors fans, I'm Scott Warris, and depending on where you are, it is probably getting warmer. It's very warm out here right now as we sit here and tape this, so let's preview the softball season. Also, the season begins in a couple of days, so it all lines up nicely. Fifth-year head coach James Flagel joins us. Coach, thanks for the time. Appreciate it very much. Let's just start with the very basics. How has camp gone so far? Training camp, practices so far? I know you've been going at it for several weeks now. How would you summarize and describe how the women look?
They're looking good. So we're week 4 and week 5 right now. The new thing this winter, if we want to call it a winter so far, is that we've been able to get outside quite a few times, where in the past we have not. And so you're able to take balls, hit, field, in conditions that you're going to play in. So it's been nice to see them in those situations. At first it was a little rough, obviously, when you make that transition. It's nice to have those yips out of the way before we go down to Florida. And we're a very veteran group, so we have 16 juniors and seniors this year, so it was pretty much hit the ground running, and they're doing a really nice job.
Well, that kind of leads me to my next question. Because of how many upperclassmen you do have, and I know you're going to rely on some young players to play some important roles for you this year, but with as many upperclassmen as you have, does that allow you to kind of maybe start further down the track than you otherwise would be from point A, so to speak?
It was, and so, you look at your plans from year to year, and we tweak some things, and obviously there's things that you have to go through during training camp, if we want to call it that. And we started probably halfway through week 2 this year, just knowing that they're ahead of the curve. Also having them in the fall, and we had extended practices in the fall too. The NCAA gave us 9 more practices in the fall. So our freshmen were able to get up to speed a little bit quicker than normal. And so we feel that we're really ahead of things and working on situations that we'd work on in week 2 and 3, we were working on in week 1.
Let's just take a step back for just a moment. What type of style do you anticipate playing this year? And obviously that probably varies to different degrees based on the personnel and the talent and the strengths and weaknesses, but maybe it's too early to ask. But I'll ask it anyway. So what do you anticipate style-wise this year, you think?
We're more athletic than we were last year, especially some freshmen that have come in. To be able to take some roles on, like pinch running and different things like that we didn't have the opportunity to do in the past. We're still going to be, a base-to-base team for the most part, but I think we'll be able to run a little bit more this year and put the ball into play and do some different things that we weren't able to do last year and the year before that.
Let's just go, well, before we go positionally, let me ask you about Lexi Martin, but when her Warriors career is all said and done, she will go down as one of the most decorated athletes to ever compete in any sport in the history of this college. She's a first-team All-American. Only 2 athletes at this college have ever done that before. 2-time conference position player of the year, and on and on. Her name is all over the rankings statistically in the league and the school. That said, I know you're a coach. And you're always looking to, how can I make my players better, as great as they may be? So how have you worked with Lexi, and where have you worked with her to maybe even fine-tune and get even better yet?
I think with Lexi, a lot of that is self-motivation and feeding that self-motivation. Giving her carrot stick type things, if you want to say, giving her some individual things to work on and to achieve and strive for, and really kind of started planting that the end of her freshman year, and she's took it and ran with it, and obviously the accolades speak for themselves.
What has impressed you the most about where she is now compared to where she was when she first walked into the door?
Maturity. She's as good of a leader as she is, statistically as a player. She's someone that if you came to a practice and you see the players just hanging out beforehand and talking and whatever else amongst themselves, you'd have no idea who she was. Obviously, when they start playing, that changes a little bit, the intensity and everything that she brings to the table is, something that, not many players have, and she's been rewarded for that. But she just does a great job of being herself and staying calm in the moment and kind of just letting everything. I know she talks about singing a song in her head when she goes to bat and just let everything else fall into place. But, she has a work ethic too that doesn't quit. I mean, there's the stuff that she does outside of practice really helps her helps her achieve the things that she's been able to do.
Boy, I mean, as you talk, I'm thinking about, other teams and coaches that I've spoken with here and other places where sometimes their best player doesn't have those traits. And so how can you lead? Or the best leaders maybe don't have the God-given abilities to back it up. But it sounds like to me, as you describe Lexi, and we'll look forward to hopefully catching up with her a time or two as the season begins and rolls forward. It sounds like, man, it's the perfect storm, so to speak, of the talent given by God, and then those intangibles that allow her to be a real leader too.
Mm-hmm. And she's grown into that.
Sure.
I mean, she didn't come in with those things. And, truth be told, when you look at it, and I've talked with a number of people about this, she wasn't even all conference in high school. So a lot of this is something where she's grown into it, accepted challenges, and really mentally locked into where she wants to be. And, has been blessed with good health too. That's a lot of it. So, we're excited for her senior year and see what she can do.
Okay, let's just go as broadly as we can, and as I say, throughout the season, we'll hopefully be able to feature a number of the players, Lexi and her teammates. Let's just start with the infield overall. Take us through what you're seeing and what you anticipate in terms of infield and defensively.
So, first base is Lexi. So, we talked about her already. Second base, we're looking at starting a freshman, Summer Crow. She's coming in. A good decorated high school career. Team has been to the state championship, round of 4 twice in her career. And the moments aren't too big for her. And she does a great job of just kind of staying within herself. Shortstop, we have a returner, Ashley Corley. So Ashley was with us as a freshman. And last year, took a year off, sophomore year, came back as a junior and was second team all-conference. And does a lot of really good things, really good natural athlete. Honestly, probably one of the better hitters that you'll see in the conference. And if she puts it all together this year, could surprise a lot of people and make that conference player of the year voting interesting.
Okay, very good.
And then at third base, we're looking at a platoon between Chloe De Leon. She's a junior, technically a senior for us because she's going to be graduating early. And then Allie Powers is a junior. So both of them are returners and multi-year players. And their first go around there. So it's going to be a little bit of fine-tuning and some different things, bunt coverages, all those, where they are, compared to what the pitchers have had to field in the past. And then, do you want me to go behind the plate?
Yeah.
Or, okay. So behind.
We don't want to forget the catcher.
We don't want to forget the catcher.
They're always ignored in a lot of circles. Not here.
That's true.
Not here.
They're catching, limited at bats and everything during practices. But Aaliyah Arnold is a freshman for us. Did a really nice job in the fall and really progressed. I would say probably that tail end of October to right now, and does a nice job behind the plate. Has a cannon for an arm, and really does a nice job hitting too. Knows what she wants to do. Has a good idea with that.
How set is your outfield alignment right now as we sit here?
Outfield alignment it's coming into play. There'll be some platooning out there. But for the most part, we got about 4 or 5 outfielders that will get the bulk of the time.
Okay. Pitching and defense in this sport is so important. how does that line up? Because we know, especially when this program has had success in the past, they've been able to anchor, with some really strong arms. And I know how important that is to you.
And this year, our number one pitcher will be Melissa Tone. So she's a junior this year for us, so third year. Last year, got a lot of valuable innings, pitched really well down in Florida. And I think this year has taken that step forward mentally, accepting that number one role, and has developed a couple new pitches this year. And we're really excited about it, and has showed well in the fall and then also this spring. And then number two, right now we're looking at Emily Brands as a sophomore. She pitched some for us last year. She's coming off of injury, did not pitch during the fall at all for us, and really kind of came back, let's just say New Year, Christmas time, when she was fully cleared. So she's working her way back into that. And then in the mix of throwing innings this year too will be Casey Meissner. She's a senior for us, left-hander. And as I've told Casey, she has the best stuff on her staff, and we're looking at her growing in her consistency and throwing some valuable innings for us. And then another left-hander, Zoe Prekup, a freshman, has turned some heads already this spring with striking out a few of our players that normally would not get struck out, especially by a freshman. So Zoe's doing a really nice job, has a nice repertoire of pitches, and we're just looking forward to her, toeing the rubber for us and getting some innings.
Before we wrap this up, Coach, you start this weekend. You've got a doubleheader against UW-Stevens Point up at Rhinelander before you head on the annual Florida road trip for 10 games. Conference, or I should say home opener, March 30th, a doubleheader. What do you look, and you want to win, I realize that, but other than coming out with W's, what do you want to accomplish with this non-conference slate in the next couple of weeks?
I think it's more seeing who we are as a collective group, because we've had some people that have, quote unquote, moved over chairs and responsibility due to, transfer out, injury, whatever else, and they're being new to that role of having to have the spotlight on them. It's easy to want that spotlight, and then once you get it and what you do with it. So we're going to learn that, I think, especially with Stevens Point and those games in Florida, and a little bit of identity, who we are. I think we're vastly improved in a lot of different areas where we struggled in the past, pitching being one of them. I think we have the ability to go to a number of pitchers where in the past we were locked into maybe one or two. And, hitting wise, again, veteran group coming back, they've seen the pitching in the league, everything. So, we're looking forward to just setting that tone of, and again, a little bit developing who we are. You asked like, what are we going to do this year? We'll see what happens. We'll see who's hitting where. Last year we had Ashley Corley leading off in the beginning of the year. Then we had her hitting behind Lexi Martin to the tune of 2 NAC players of the week. Once we made that switch, it was just more of a comfortable place for her. So we'll have to do some jostling with the lineup and everything, and that's where that takes place during that time.
Yeah. New roles, new opportunities, and by the time March 30th rolls around and you have that first home game, weather permitting, it goes off as planned, an identity starting to form. Warriors get it going this weekend up at Rhinelander. 5th-year head softball coach James Flegel. Coach, all the best. Enjoy the weather. I know you will when you get down to Florida, but this has been spectacular up here lately.
we will take it. 70 degrees today. Who knows in the future? Friday, actually, that game may actually end up getting moved to Stevens Point, talking about the weather. We're looking in the 50s on Friday, so right now we're in discussions about moving that one outdoors instead of being indoors. So anytime you can get that, it's a great thing.
Who'da thunk it? You can track it all, as always, at WLCsports.com. Thanks for watching.